We are naming it and claiming it, and I hope you are naming it and listening right now.
Pop Culture Pastor.
So, the movie Weird Science proves that the 1980s, they had a fundamental misunderstanding of how artificial intelligence works.
Okay.
They create a girl with their computer that they wanted, and that was their intent, to have a relationship with her. But that's not how AI works. But somehow they did it, and it's not really explained other than maybe there was some magic involved. I've had a problem with that movie for years.
Magic and luck. But
I mean,
that wasn't my go-to 80s science movie, though.
What was your go-to 80s science movie? Wait. It was Real Genius, wasn't it?
It was Real Genius.
Yeah, Real Genius was good. I was a Weird Science guy. I liked all of what's his name's movies. The whole the Breakfast Club, the 16 Candles. What was that guy's name? Why can't I ever think of names?
I don't know. Christopher Columbus.
No, this guy's dead.
Well,
he died last year, I believe.
Yeah.
They were all in Shermer, Illinois. And now I can't think of the guy's name. It's that dang COVID.
That would be John Hughes.
John Hughes.
How dare you forget the late great John Hughes?
If you don't listen to the podcast, I have trouble recalling names from time to time.
And shockingly, he died 13 years ago.
He didn't die last year?
No.
Is that Mandela thingy?
That is not.
Is that the Mandela effect?
No, that's not the Mandela.
What's the Mandela effect?
There would have to be a lot of people thinking he died last year.
I think a lot of people think he died last year. Let's ask the audience.
Yeah. I thought he died several years ago, but I wasn't sure.
I thought he died last year. Anyways, yeah, I like John Hughes movies, but Weird Science was ridiculous. But Anthony Michael Hall, that was an all-timer performance in Weird Science.
It was good. Don't get me wrong.
Unpopular opinion, better than his 16 Candles role.
Oh, I'll go with it.
I mean, he got to showcase in Weird Science.
Yeah.
That scene where he's inebriated and they're in the black club, the African American club, which appears to be like a blues club, I think. And they're all dressed up like they're in the 1920s gangsters in Harlem. It's such a weird scene. It makes me like, John Hughes, dude, are you racist right now?
Not very woke.
Anyways, it was a funny scene. John Hughes did know how to do that. Hello and welcome. This is the Pop Culture Pastor podcast. Cody is here and wearing a very tie-dyed sweatshirt.
Yeah.
What's up with this sweatshirt you're wearing, bro?
Be kind.
I mean, it says be kind, but what's up with the tie-dye?
I don't know.
Where did you get it?
My wife ordered it. I didn't ask for it.
Oh, okay.
She ordered it for her, but it was too long for her.
Oh, okay.
So then it became mine.
She's small.
Yeah.
But you're not exactly
I
super
am
tall.
Basically the next George Mirasan.
That is a 90s NBA reference for you youngins.
He was also in a movie.
My Giant.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Billy Crystal, right?
So, yeah.
I remembered his name.
Thank you.
I remember George Mirasan.
Yeah.
Is George Mirasan dead?
No, he's still alive.
He's still alive. I thought he died.
He tweets.
He does?
Yeah.
Who is the really big guy that died?
Manute Bol?
Did Manute Bol die?
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's sad. Andre the Giant's gone.
Yeah.
Who are other tall people? I feel like I'm missing one. Really tall guys. Sean Bradley, he's alive.
He got paralyzed.
What?
Yeah, the bicycle wreck last year, someone hit him while they were driving and he was in a bicycle.
No.
And being that tall, yeah.
Sean Bradley's paralyzed?
I'm pretty sure.
How did this escape me? Once I started having kids, I never know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, he's paralyzed.
Man,
7'6", star of Space Jam.
it's tough out there for the tall guys. That's crazy. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. All right. We should get on with the podcast rather than talk about things I didn't know happened. Because it's likely I could get very sad. Sean Bradley, the star of Space Jam, he carried that movie. No. It was always, that movie was always funny. I mean, I don't want to make fun of Sean Bradley's game since he's had this tragic thing happen to him, but it was always funny when the Monstars steal the talent from the NBA players. I'm like, whichever one got Sean's, they didn't get much.
They got some height. Mark Eden also died.
Mark Eaton, yeah,
That's
remember
who died last year.
Another Utah guy.
Yeah, very tall as well.
Yeah. Well, those big guys, they die. Sometimes they don't have the same kind of lifespan. Andre the Giant, because they have like an enlarged heart, right? And
Those sorts of
things. That's not good. It's not good. It's like, would you? That's one of those things where would you, like, if God came to you when you were old enough to know, but still young, and said, I'll make you 7'4", but you'll only live 50 years. Would you make that trade? And you'll play in the NBA. Would you make that trade?
Probably not, but this was also another bicycle wreck.
That Mark Eaton died in a bicycle wreck?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That's terrible. Be careful out there on the bikes.
Yeah, this podcast has gone off the rails with tall basketball guys and bicycling.
We're weird. We weirdly get into these weird pockets.
We do.
And yeah, today it's apparently tall basketball guys that got into bike accidents. I remember, this is not specifically basketball related, but the athletic director of KU died in a bike accident way back when too. His name was Bob Frederick. Nice man. Great dude. But he died in a car, bike, got hit by a car, I believe.
Yeah.
You got to be, and that was back in the day before cell phones. Now you got to be extra careful. So if you're out there, I mean, just be aware that there's people not looking at the road.
That's why you bike only on the bike path.
That's why I don't do any exercise at all. Okay, back to the podcast. That's all pop culture related.
Yeah.
Why don't we do some TV news first? It was announced this week that Stranger Things, Netflix has announced that Stranger Things season 4 will premiere on May 27th, and that this 4th season is almost twice as long as previous seasons. So it'll be split into 2 volumes, with the second batch of episodes being released 5 weeks later on July 1st.
I don't like it.
Why not?
This feels like what Ozark's doing, and just give it to me. Either you release it week by week, or
but there's more
release
episodes.
You release it all together. I can binge watch several episodes at one time, Dave.
Yeah, but there's all the evidence in the world out there right now says that the weekly model is working better. Like the old days of watching television is generating more buzz.
Yeah. I won't.
So what if they decided to release it like that? Would that make you mad?
I'd be okay, because then I have something to look forward every week.
I just feel like you're being a big baby.
No. I mean, yeah, Disney Plus and HBO Max, that's how they do it. You'll get a couple episodes to start off, but then it's weekly, and then you still have the news headlines, and people are like, oh, now I got to get caught up on this show. Where, like, if you dump it all at once, you make a big splash, but it's shorter lived.
Yeah. So season 4 of Stranger Things, they say, the producers, the Duffer Brothers, has a similar episode count in total to the other seasons, but that the episodes are feature length in runtime. So I guess since there'll be 4 or 5 that drop in May, and then 4 or 5 that drop in July, those are going to be longer episodes. And then season 5, which they'll be working on, I guess, in the meantime, is going to be the last season, which is good because Millie Bobby Brown's a full-grown woman.
Yeah,
and probably has been since she was like 13. Her parents, what are her parents doing?
Finn is like has facial hair coming in now. So
Serious question. These kids who hit it big, like, do they age faster? They just grow up and they're like doing adult things. Like the Millie Bobby Brown girl was like dating dudes 2 or 3 years older than her. Stuff we'd frown on, like if it was our kids. But when it's a celebrity, we're like, look at her, so glamorous.
I don't know if we'd frown on it.
You don't think so?
No.
I'd frown on it. My daughters come home.
I mean, as parents, but as a society or culture, like, oh, he's 19, she's 17, she's almost out of high school.
Yeah, I think it was worse than that, though.
I'm just saying
with Millie.
that is the thought process.
I don't know. I don't read enough National Enquirer to know all the deets.
Yeah.
Someone out there does. Someone out there is probably one of our listeners, probably big Millie Bobby Brown fan, knows everyone she's ever dated.
My issue with when they're releasing it is, have they not heard? There's a new show on the horizon, and it premieres 2 days before.
And are you going to leave me in the dark here?
Disney Plus's newest hit Star Wars show, Old Ben Kenobi.
Oh, yeah.
Premieres May 25th.
And let's see. Moon Knight comes out the end of March. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be there's a lot of good things coming up. Stranger Things also, one of those shows. We should talk about 1883. You're all caught up now.
I am.
Up to we've watched episode 9. So it's time. We haven't really talked about 1883 in depth as far as the story goes. Mm-hmm. But basically, we're watching the Duttons, who are the present day show of Yellowstone's ancestors, basically.
Great grandfather, Tim McGraw.
Yeah, and how they got to Montana, basically.
Yeah.
Although at the beginning of this show, they're on their way to Oregon on the Oregon Trail. And somehow they're going to end up in Montana. We don't know that yet.
Oh, I know.
But in this most recent episode, spoilers, if you're watching 1883, they finally revisit the opening scene from the whole show.
I was going to say, this isn't a spoiler because it happened in the first scene.
Yeah. So the whole show starts off with the blonde girl, Elsa, the daughter, kind of walking through this, devastation of what's obviously been some wagons that have been attacked. And she's got an arrow sticking through her abdomen. And we basically see the lead up and that happening on this week's episode. And the big bombshell at the end is that the parents discuss how she's going to die.
Tim knows.
So this pierced her liver, apparently. There's not really antibiotics back then.
The arrow was too filthy.
Yeah.
Tim knew.
And
instantly.
They're saying she's going to die. So here's my question.
She dies in Montana.
Do you think she's going to die?
My wife says no. I say yes.
See, I say no. My wife says yes.
Because the few flashbacks that they have in Yellowstone, it's just boys.
Yeah, you don't see her.
And my wife will say,
but to be fair, that's pretty far. That's farther in the future. She's an adult.
10
she's
years
18
later. Yeah, so she'll be 28 when this happens because it's 1893.
So why would she be there though?
And my wife says she went back to Sam, of course.
Yeah, the Comanche
that
she
doesn't
married.
make any sense. She wouldn't find him. No,
she wouldn't find him.
She went. It's a huge plane. Yeah, she's dead.
I mean, people would know where the Comanches are.
She will die in Montana. He will bury her in Montana. They will settle in Montana.
I'm a little offended that you don't think Lightning with the yellow hair couldn't find her husband. Okay, I agree. It's possible that she could die. I think here's one thing or the other is about to happen here. Okay, she dies. And the show moves on, and it's weird because they had her narrate the whole first season.
So he said, Taylor Sheridan said that he wrote the first season like a book. So the first season could be her telling the story of how they get there and then gone. Kind of like Moses with Exodus.
And so then we'll just be in the moment in season 2 then.
Season 2, it could be another book foretold by Faith Hill. Who knows?
Well, okay. Now, that's where I think they could do something really original. So this season was all told from her perspective, which made you think that she was going to be the narrator for the whole show. But if she dies, then they could have the son, a couple years older, be the narrator of the show, right? Yeah. And that's interesting to me. I think that's super okay, that's an interesting thing. And one of my favorite things for people to do in entertainment, do something that hasn't been done. Do something original.
I will be heartbroken if this is the last season I get to see Sam Elliott and his mustache.
I'm really hoping they do something original. I just don't believe that the writers of Yellowstone have it in them.
I like to think that they poured all their heart and soul into 1883 instead of this past season of Yellowstone.
Well, they sure seemed like it.
Phoned it in so that way they could focus on this.
I'm much more interested in 1883 than Yellowstone. Did you watch the series finale of the long-running PBS Kids series Arthur? Why are you laughing?
No.
You did not?
I have seen a couple of episodes, but that's just because I work in a school.
Yeah.
So,
it's sort of creepy.
Yeah. Like I saw the photos.
The Arthur series finale entitled All Grown Up, which debuted on Sunday across PBS platforms, came with the reveal of Arthur and his friends grown up by flash forwarding 20 years in the future. Arthur looks like a comic book shop owner. He looks like the comic book shop guy. He's a little heavy. He's got a little peach fuzz on his chin. He's wearing a vaguely reminiscent of someone who really, really is into 420 stuff. Arthur just looks like trouble.
I'm not going to lie. I don't like when cartoons do this.
It's weird, right?
Rugrats did the same thing. I didn't need it then. I don't need it 20 plus years later.
I mean, listen, it's all well and good to have your cartoon of kids doing whatever they do. But when you have full grown adults and their names are Francine, Frensky, and Muffy Crosswire, it just gets weird. DW, Arthur's sister, a traffic cop. Now, how depressing is that? I'm nothing against traffic cops, but a traffic cop? That's like cops don't even like to be traffic cops. That means they're like not.
Maybe it was less politicized to be a traffic cop, and so they were like traffic cop. Or they had seen the opening sequences of Zootopia and were like, oh, the bunny's a traffic cop. Evidently, they didn't watch the whole movie.
Zootopia is creepy, too. I didn't like that show. My kids loved Zootopia. I just thought it was creepy. There's some weird, I'm surprised this woke age we're living in, they were okay with Zootopia. There's some weird, dominant, theme. I know the bunny is supposed to be working against all these, because it's a movie about bigotry in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in a sense, she wants to become everything she's supposed to be opposed to, and then does. And then I don't know. The movie's just weird.
She is breaking the glass ceiling, Dave.
Yeah.
To that all exclusive big boys club. The Zootopia police.
I don't have as much problem with it as I have with it in Kanto and Abuela.
It made sense.
Abuela and her cycle of abuse.
No.
There's a perpetual cycle of abuse. And she's like making her kids, like forcing her kids into this rigid, like, you have to be, like this part of the family and do all this. Like, what if Bruno wanted to be a rocket scientist? And then she shuns Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. Why?
Because
let's not talk about Encanto again.
Yeah. It just stirs up emotions in Dave, and I'm okay with the abuela. And the granddaughter that doesn't have superpowers, she is...
Maribel?
Yeah. She is the abuela of her future generations.
She's delightful.
Because who else doesn't have superpowers? Abuela. So she is going to be the one that holds the family together like abuela.
If anybody wants to send me a Bruno Funko Pop, by the way,
that's a thing.
I will graciously accept that in Jesus' name. Yeah, Funko Pops, man.
Well, I know Funko Pops are.
Yeah, they've had, of course they have Encanto Funko Pops.
If anyone wants to send an abuela Funko Pop to
no, I don't want an abuela. I want a Bruno. Brunos are the ones. They're hard to get right now. But I want a Bruno Funko Pop.
Abuela.
And then I will sell it on eBay. No. Let's talk about movies. Let's move to movie news. A lot of Flash news coming out recently. Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot, it was released this week, will be in The Flash. Now, this is... So...
It's looking like if it's a reboot, it's a very soft reboot where they exclude a couple of characters, but they keep most of the original people.
Yeah, it seems like DC's in damage control, because here a few months back, everybody was like, it was all going downhill quickly because it was announced that like Michael Keaton was going to be Batman in the movie, but he was only in it to like introduce and train Batwoman, who was going to be the ongoing new Batman in this new DCEU, and that Supergirl was going to be the new Superman. Like, they're taking out both of these icons, and they were going to leave Batwoman and Supergirl in these spots. And people were just getting worried. People were like, wait a minute. And so now it seems like they're like, okay, we need to get back. Because if you have Gal Gadot and Aquaman in it, it seems like you're going back into Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Zack Snyder verse, right?
Yeah. So I think with this movie, it could have the potential to be multiverse of madness-esque. You might see several versions of these people. And so, yeah, I'm not doubting that there will be a Batgirl and Supergirl, but there might be 2 or 3 Batmen. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's not a hard reboot. It's going to be a soft one. They're going to figure out a way that Cyborg won't have to be in any more movies.
Yeah, well, how they fix that? I mean, I don't even know how you fix that.
But did you see the news? Okay, so spoiler alerts. Justice League shows up in Peacemaker.
Okay, yeah, I haven't watched the show, but I saw that.
Yeah,
but no Cyborg, and
Batman.
Superman is in shadow only.
Yeah, so they were all going to be in shadow only, but then James Gunn was able to get Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller, but they had the silhouettes for Cyborg and for Batman. Like they
did have the silhouettes.
They filmed them, but
they weren't in the
DC and Warner Brothers, HBO Max decided to pull them, and James Gunn released a statement saying he couldn't really elaborate besides future plans.
Well, why don't they just recast Cyborg? Why don't they just recast him?
Because that would not be a good PR move.
Well, they've already crushed their PR. Warner Brothers does not have public relations at the moment. There's nothing to work with. You might as well make the fans happy and bring back Cyborg and tell your directors to quit being racists.
Well, that'd be nice. I can't.
Racist and chauvinist, apparently.
Can't help what happens in the making of these movies.
The other big news with the Flash movie just popped out today on the day we're recording this. The Flash's movie villain, which has been kept a major secret, has possibly been spoiled by official crew shirts. Where is it? However, so they hadn't released who the villain was going to be, and a shirt with silhouettes on it. It has Batman and Supergirl's respective silhouettes, which is interesting for this new Flash movie. It's a crew shirt. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, you see Ezra Miller's Flash, and he can be spotted with evil-looking electricity across his suit. And it's known that Miller will be portraying two separate incarnations of Barry. Mm-hmm. One of them will likely be a doppelganger from Michael Keaton's Batman universe.
Yes.
A popular theory that's out there now is that the second Barry is going to be the DCEU's own take on the Reverse Flash or Black Flash. And if it were to be the latter, it would be the second live action iteration of Black Flash, who was introduced through the Arrowverse during the Flash's earlier seasons.
I don't see it being Reverse Flash.
Well, I mean,
it'd be cool if it's either Black Flash or Reverse Flash, but
isn't that the Flashpoint story?
It is.
Is the Reverse Flash, right?
It is Reverse Flash.
I just thought that I guess I just assumed that was going to be the villain. But maybe they'll change it up and make it. I mean, it's going to be Ezra Miller playing a different version, I guess.
Because, I mean.
And that would not be Reverse Flash. Because Reverse Flash is Eobard Thawne.
Yeah.
Correct?
It is. But, like, they did it on Arrowverse. They did it in the Arrowverse.
Well, they did it with Eobard Thawne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't see them revisiting that same storyline.
So you think it'll be someone different that kills Flash's mom? Because that's the whole impetus for. Or do you think they'll change?
I think that
everything.
I think you have to go back to Flash's mom. I think someone else will have killed her. A different speedster.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I don't know. Warner Brothers, it just seems like such a mess. I'm interested to see what goes on with the Batman. We're planning on doing a Batman pod, the Batman, when it comes out. It'll be the first Friday after it releases that we'll come out with a pod where we all sit down and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's happening.
It's going to be great because they've already are in talks in potential production of the second one. So
a second Batman already?
It's rumor. It's
look
a rumor.
at them. They are getting a little ahead of themselves, I think.
And that's what everyone said about Peacemaker, and then it became HBO Max's biggest show ever.
I mean, you're just really all about the Peacemaker.
If you like James Gunn, this is so James Gunny, and then John Cena steals your heart with his acting. Yeah.
All right. More movie news. Mixing with the sports world, Tom Brady's got his first post-football life job. He's going to be helping produce and star in a football-themed road trip comedy for Paramount Pictures titled 80 for Brady. This is EW is reporting this. Inspired by a true story, the film centers on four best friends and New England Patriots fans who take a life-changing trip to the 2017 Super Bowl to see Brady, their quarterback hero, play, and the chaos that ensues as they navigate the wilds of the biggest sporting event in the country. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field are on board to play the group of friends who follow Brady into the crazy and chaotic world of the NFL. How old are they?
Old.
Is the 80 for Brady? Does that mean that's how old they are?
I'm going to assume that they would have to be close.
Brady will be playing himself. He's done that a couple times, including cameos in the Entourage television show and in Ted 2.
I was going to say he was in one of the Ted movies.
Yeah. So are you interested in that? Are we? We're not. We're Chiefs fans. We're Kansas City Chiefs guys. But do we hate Brady, or do you want to see that?
I'm going to do a spoiler alert. The Chiefs, for most of my adult life, well, childhood and adult life, hot trash come playoff time. And Cody actually really likes football. So I have rooted for like every one of Tom Brady's championship rings except for the one in Tampa Bay. So, yeah, I'll be watching it.
You are of your father, the devil. I don't know about that, man. That sounds suspect. You rooted for Tom Brady? What's wrong with you?
I didn't like the St. Louis Rams, so that was their first Super Bowl. And
how could you not like the St. Louis Rams?
I didn't like them.
It's Kurt Warner.
Yeah. Chiefs fan. And so if I'm choosing a Missouri team, I'm choosing
it's the greatest show on turf, my man.
The ones that were hot trash.
And the Chiefs were really hot garbage back then.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, all right. It's cool. I don't mind Tom Brady. He seems like a cool guy to be around.
Well.
And if not, I'd love him anyways, because that's,
what we're called to do.
Jesus, and all. He told us to love him. So I love Tom Brady. He's good people. You hear about this stuff with Charlize Theron on the set of Mad Max?
So I will tell you what all I do know.
Well, you just want me to tell you the story?
No, I'll tell you what all I know.
Tell me what you do know.
Okay, so like Mad Max really was like my wife's favorite movie. Like when that came out.
Mad Max Fury Road is her favorite movie?
When it came out.
Interesting.
Because and it might have been the best 3D graphics I've ever seen.
Okay.
Because we did watch it in 3D and then we watched it in regular. But yeah, good movie. But she instantly was all about reading all over it. And she's like, oh, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy hated each other, feuded, refused to do interviews together. Like, it was bad. And so that's all I know.
Okay, well, so this is general knowledge, apparently.
Yes.
That there was some struggles in the filming experience. Well, now a new oral history has come out. It sheds some light on the behind-the-scenes drama. In an excerpt from the book called Blood, Sweat, and Chrome, the excerpt was published by Vanity Fair. Cast and crew detailed the bad blood between the two leading actors. And, dude, it sounds bad. Okay, so they talk about Tom Hardy. Charlize Theron would show up for her 8 p.m. call time, and they all knew full well that Hardy wouldn't show up until later. Like, he was just going to be late. Which, first of all, what's that? You hear about this stuff all the time, that celebrity big movie stars will just be late. What's that?
Beauty sleep, Dave.
Oh, no. Just because you make a lot of money and you're good at what you do, you think you can just walk in at every time? That'd make me mad too. And I'd say something. It's disrespectful. When you're notoriously late, when you're late all the time, you're basically proving to everyone around you that you don't care about anyone but yourself.
I will use the example, which will prove your point, but Shaq and Kobe.
Oh, yeah? Was one of them always late? Shaq always late? It was Shaq, wasn't it?
Well, Shaq would always show up out of shape and would get in shape by playing the regular season, where Kobe's you got to be in the gym early. Yeah. You got to leave late. You got to be in shape before the season even begins.
Kobe, a notoriously hard worker.
Yeah. So, and it kind of sounds like that. Shaq knew his worth.
Well,
Dude's
okay.
Good.
First assistant camera person Ricky Schaumburg was quoted and said, whether it was some kind of power play or not, I don't know, but it felt deliberately provocative. And if you ask me, he kind of knew that it was really making Charlize angry because she's a professional and she turns up really early.
She does.
So when Hardy did show up 3 hours late, Charlize, who'd been waiting in full costume and makeup the entire time, let loose apparently in this one incident. He says, quote, she jumps out of the war rig and she starts swearing her head off at him, saying, find the explicative $100,000 for every minute that he's held up this crew and how disrespectful you are. And she was right. he says. Full rant. She screamed it out. It was loud, and he might have heard some of it, but he charged up to her. Now, this is a full-grown dude, and he is muscular and kind of scary.
Although much shorter than you would think.
So, but imagine a dude running up on a woman. Like, there's a couple red flags in this story that apparently are true.
So I'm going to be the devil's advocate here.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Here's what I think he was doing. Method acting, because their characters are in conflict with each other throughout, even though they're working on the same goal.
Okay.
And so him getting under her skin, I think, led to maybe the best performance out of her, because like when she's glaring at him, it looks like she wants his soul ripped out of him.
Well, let me tell you the result of his method acting. He charges up to her, gets in her face, and says, "What did you say to me?" And says he was being quite aggressive. She, according to this crew member, said she really felt threatened. The camera operator noted that particular incident was a turning point in the two actors' fraught relationship, as Theron told the crew she wanted protection. So she had security on set from that time forward. And the crew member goes on to say it got to a place where it was kind of out of hand, and there was a sense that maybe sending a woman producer down could maybe equalize some of it because it didn't feel safe. And she was assigned a female producer, and through that producer was barred from actually setting foot on the set by another producer. Like, this is all a mess. She describes when she was on set, she felt naked and alone. And like all of this, like, especially in this day and age, after the Me Too movement, which dealt mostly with sexual harassment. But at the end of the day, what you're talking about is a man using power to bully a woman in a lot of ways. It's the same kind of themes. I'm surprised. Of course, this just dropped today, but I'm surprised it's not bigger. And Tom Hardy isn't just getting blasted. It's just interesting. I mean, these are huge stars.
Yes, but both have a reputation of being difficult to work with.
Both of them do.
Yeah.
See, I'm not aware of that. I don't know their history.
I would also say, like, I'm kind of shocked that she would say that she felt alone in that, because most of the cast, and I mean, throughout most of the movie, she's with them, is ladies. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are in the war rig together.
I mean, it's, for me, just reading this was quite jarring, especially the part where he charges up to her and gets in her face. That's kind of jarring to see, to even read about a man getting in a woman's face like that. It's more aggressive than it makes you uneasy, that kind of aggressiveness.
Yes.
It makes you feel like, oh, could he? Is he capable of doing what he's threatening to do? Because that is threatening. When you're aggressive with someone and you get in their face, like, you're basically threatening that I could get physical with you. And I'm not sure that that's not bad enough. There's a weird line being towed there.
And do you want to know who made this movie? Warner Brothers.
Oh, boy. Oh, man, Warner Brothers is a bad look. Now, Tom Hardy, for his part, admitted to this erratic behavior, and he said this: "I was in over my head in many ways." And he said, well, what's done is done. And the clashes, they're talking about them now. He says the pressure on both of us was overwhelming at times. And what she needed was a better, perhaps more experienced partner in me. And that's something that can't be faked. I'd like to think that now I'm older and uglier, I could rise to that occasion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he seems to be remorseful about the way he acted on the set. And I guess that maybe that's enough.
Maybe.
And so that's just interesting. That's all. And I picked out another story about something similar because I saw it and I thought, well, let's just keep talking about this.
This is happening again.
It's sort of we're like having a mini main topic here on method acting, as it were. So let's just go with the theory that Tom Hardy was method acting. Like, at what point do you snap them out of it? Or do you? Is it like not waking up someone who's sleepwalking?
You're the one that did the sermon over Daniel Day-Lewis.
I did do a sermon on Daniel Day-Lewis.
And literally, who was in the movie Lincoln with him? Joseph
Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, yeah.
And he said he didn't meet Daniel Day-Lewis until the
rap party.
The rap party. So I don't know.
Daniel Day-Lewis is really famous for his method acting. So like he became Abraham Lincoln. He was like signing notes. He wouldn't use texting during the filming of Lincoln. He would write letters to his castmates and sign them Abraham Lincoln. Like that's how deep that dude gets. But method acting Abraham Lincoln's different than method acting Max Rockatansky.
Yeah. Was it?
One's one of our forefathers of our nation and a great litigator of equality, and the other one walks through a hellish post-apocalyptic landscape, killing people.
Wasn't Deer Hunter that Robert Downey Jr. or not Robert Downey Jr. but Robert De Niro was doing the Russian roulette with the live round?
Oh.
Or was it Christopher Walken? One of them was.
Did they really do that?
That's what the rumor is.
With a real round. That's nuts.
So, again, method acting.
That's not method acting. That's insanity.
Well, when you're doing a war movie, Dave.
Yeah, this is how we get Rust situations.
Exactly.
That's insane. While we're talking about being uncontrollable on a set, Scott Eastwood recounted a volatile moment he had with Fury co-star Shia LaBeouf on the set of filmmaker David Ayer's 2014 World War II film. In an interview with Insider, Scott Eastwood recounted a scene where his character chews tobacco and spits on the war tank led by Brad Pitt's battle-hardened leader Don Collier. And Eastwood's co-stars didn't realize that the moment was part of the script, and it prompted Shia LaBeouf to get upset and Pitt to intervene. He said, quote, Shia got mad at me and it turned into this volatile moment that Brad Pitt ultimately got in the middle of. And I've heard Shia's sort of like a Tom Hardy guy. So Shia and Tom Hardy were in a movie together, and there's stories about fist fights and punching going on.
Sounds about right.
And Tom Hardy himself, I've heard him say that Shia isn't messing around. Like that dude can fight.
And I will say, blessed are the peacemakers. So way to go, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. You see Brad Pitt floating into the fray. Oh.
But no, how does he not know that's part of the script?
Brad Pitt, for his part, had previously addressed the scuffle in British GQ in 2014, calling Shia one of the best actors I've ever seen, noting he's full-on commitment, man. He's also a method actor.
And has been in the news recently for not so hot things. So, yeah. I don't know if method acting is good for your mental and physical well-being, because if you go back to the Andy Kaufman biopic that Jim Carrey did.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey was Andy Kaufman that whole time.
Yeah, for the duration of the filming.
And
I remember that because he's showing up on late night talk shows as Andy Kaufman.
And
it was weird.
Literally watching that documentary about the making of that movie, if I was his co-stars, I would have punched him.
Yeah.
He was annoying throughout the snippets that they're showing, because he's full on Andy Kaufman and he's not Andy Kaufman. And he talks about how he had to relearn how to be himself, and it took several months.
Well, because that's not mentally okay.
Yeah.
Here, I'm about to say something with all due respect and apologies to Daniel Day-Lewis. I think it's vanity. I think if you're such a good actor, you shouldn't need to do that. Shouldn't you be able to turn that on and off if you're so good at what you do?
Yeah. Or that once the story leaks, that's what you did. Oscars usually flood in.
I mean, yeah, okay. So you're saying they maybe just do that for headlines and for
It all comes down to vanity. Yeah.
Interesting. I bet Daniel Day-Lewis wouldn't say that.
I know Daniel Day-Lewis wouldn't say that.
Well, that's why Mark Wahlberg just plays one character. You don't have to method act it when you're playing the same dude over and over again. All right. One more story that I just threw on the end of this because it was funny. Tom Holland shared an amusing behind-the-scenes story from his early days of playing Spider-Man. He was on Live with Kelly and Ryan, which I didn't know was still a show. But apparently Kelly Ripa is still out there doing her thing. I don't even know who Ryan is. Who's Ryan?
Seacrest?
Is Seacrest her co-host now?
I'm pretty sure.
Like that, you remember when that was Regis and Kathy Lee?
Yeah.
Amazing. Now it's Kelly and Ryan Seacrest. After mentioning that his Spider-Man suit didn't have a zipper, on the first movie, we were shooting this sequence at the Washington Monument. I was in the suit for days at a time, Holland says, 11 hours a day, and I was young, so I wanted to impress the studio. I didn't want him to think that I needed breaks. One day during his daily call to his mother, he said, "Mom, I'm really struggling. I'm working every day, and because I wear the suit, I can't go to the bathroom." He continued, and then 2 days later, the producer came up to me and was like, "How are your kidneys?" And when Holland said, "My kidneys are fine. Why are you asking me that?" The producer responded, "Well, your mom called us." Mom!
So this is actually a common issue. Because Christian Bale's advice to Robert Pattinson was, before you start filming, you make sure the wardrobe department makes it easy for you to go to the restroom. Because that is an issue that I had while filming the Dark Knight trilogy. And so evidently our Pat had a zipper in the back.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew that superhero movies were such a problem for relieving yourself, exiting out your bladder?
Yeah.
Hard stuff.
If he was a football player or a race car driver, you just go wherever you're at.
Yep. So we went long in the news section, and that was by design because our main topic section is going to be slightly shorter probably than usual because we're just introing something today. But we do have our lobby section coming up next where it's time for us to go out into the lobby and answer listener questions. Stay tuned. We'll be back in the lobby in just a second.
Welcome to the lobby.
All right, welcome back. It's time for us to answer listener questions. We've come out to the lobby to get nachos, popcorn, whatever we get.
Chocolate covered raisins.
You're a weird dude, man. Have I ever told you that? Is that a thing?
That is.
Can you get those at the movie theater?
Yeah.
Chocolate covered raisins? Are those Raisinets?
Yeah, that's what
are?
Raisinets are. I didn't want to give Raisinets free advertising.
I didn't think anybody actually bought those. I thought they just kept them down there to make it look like they had variety to choose from.
That's the healthy option, Dave.
Sure.
I'm
It's
sure
the gross option.
that's what Tom Brady eats.
Tom Brady eats kale chips because Giselle makes him. She runs that house. Don't think it any other way.
I don't.
All right, we're out in the lobby. It's time to answer listener questions. We start with Scott Patrick Dillon, who's apparently who we always start off with in this segment.
Yes.
He asks good questions. Here he is. He's laying out a scenario for us. Dave and Cody end up in jail after making a ruckus over a beloved TV show being canceled. What show are we talking about? Current and past shows allowed.
Okay.
So there's several different parameters that you can
Yeah.
move around to answer this in a certain way, however kind of way you wanted to.
So before Firefly had movies, it might have been Firefly.
Yeah.
but that one's off my list. I got a modern show and I got a past show.
Okay.
I'll make a ruckus over Scrubs being my past show because at its height, maybe the best sitcom ever. I'm naming it and claiming it. Eat dirt, Cheers.
Cheers. You went Cheers? I mean, not Friends or Seinfeld. You went Cheers.
I would go Cheers over Friends easy. Seinfeld, you can make a case.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
And then modern show.
All right. We're just going to move on from that. We're not going to fight about it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you have it.
Modern show, as you have noted, Peacemaker is where I'm at. So.
Yeah, you're a big Peacemaker's your thing. So if they canceled it, which they're not going to, like, there's no chance
we're
of that
not
happening.
making season 2 now, even though this is the best thing we've ever done since the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah.
I don't even know if there are current shows that would distress me. There's shows that would distress me if they don't cancel them. Like, frankly, I'm already like Yellowstone went a season too long. Already.
When's Grey's Anatomy going to get canceled?
Grey's Anatomy should have been canceled like 8 years ago. I don't even watch that show. My wife watches it, and I'm just like, how is there anyone left on this show? Everyone dies. Except of course, when they crash a plane into a mountain. Then only like 2 of 20 people die, and I don't understand it. Because if you really crashed into a mountain, you'd all die.
Yeah.
Yet somehow, Meredith Grey's still alive. Unfortunately, because she's the most annoying character on television, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Did she have to pull a Donner's party?
No, they
soccer team.
Nobody, they didn't need anybody else. They just do that behind the scenes to the real actors,
Evidently.
metaphorically. Because man, people have left that show in tizzies.
And Meredith Grey and Denzel Washington had a huge beef. The episode he directed.
I had a lot of trouble trying to think of past shows that I was upset when they got canceled. I couldn't think of much. I felt like I think Game of Thrones is an easy one. Not that it got canceled, but that it just ran so long and they were waiting for George R.R. Martin. They were kind of hoping he was going to finish so they could base on that, because Game of Thrones, the story, is a great story, but the last season of it was just atrocious because it's just so rushed. It was so rushed, and you could tell they can't even clean up Starbucks cups out of the shot,
Yeah.
or edit it out in post. Like it's that rushed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of any like older shows that you might have been a fan of.
Yeah. I don't know. There's most shows. I was really upset when WWF at the time bought WCW and ended Nitro.
Yeah.
And all that, ended the WCW, because I was really into WCW. But by that time, it had degraded so far anyways. It was kind of rough. It was a rough watch. So it wasn't like I was super, broken up about it. I loved Smallville, but Smallville lasted a little bit too long, in my opinion. It probably went about 4 seasons too long.
6 seasons in a movie. That should be your goal.
So mostly
with Ted Lasso being canceled.
Well, okay, Ted Lasso would absolutely devastate me.
Okay.
And that seems like the kind of show where they'll be like, we actually planned it out 3 or 4 seasons and we're done. And that will devastate me, because for my money, I could just watch Ted Lasso for the rest of my life and be happy.
Yeah.
That's a great show. I did think of one. There was an HBO show called Rome.
Oh, yeah.
Which, okay, so you have to understand, Rome is sort of the model for the future of streaming shows, and HBO kind of goes that direction with their shows. But at the time, they didn't have the money allocated for it.
Yeah.
So Rome was a super expensive show to make. It was a period drama, about ancient Rome. Julius Caesar is kind of the story it starts off with. And then he dies, of course, at the end of the first season, and it moves on into Augustus Caesar. And man, I wanted more of that story. I wanted to see like the hubbub in Israel, right? In the outposts, you know, and them having to like what little dealing is with that as what they would. I just wanted more of that story, and they had to wrap it up in 2 seasons. And I was bummed about that because Rome, if you haven't watched Rome, great show. Deadwood, maybe another one.
Oh yeah, Deadwood
was kind of canceled at its height
because they had the writers' strike. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we'll just move on.
So, and that was kind of at that time too, where those HBO's making these shows that are super expensive to make. And so it was really easy for them to be like, well, we should just end it then.
Yeah.
And then Game of Thrones kind of changes all that. They're like, well, we'll just spend millions of dollars to keep this gravy train going.
All the monies.
Yeah. Next question. Kyle Kessinger asks, if you could guest star on a TV show, what TV show would that be, and who or what would your character be like or be doing?
Okay, so like I have 2 shows.
Okay.
So it goes back to my answer for if a current show was to be canceled. So I'm going Peacemaker, but I'm going back to.
Are you a superhero or a supervillain? Or are you the guy in the chair? Please tell me you're the guy in the chair.
So instead, I am going to go back to Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. Because Clark's constantly like interacting with a priest or a pastor. So,
all right.
Like Peacemaker, he has the dove as his symbol. So there's definitely some religious symbolism there, even though he will kill as many people to get peace as
he has a Machiavellian bent.
And so like I would be a pastor that he would be consulting with and then completely ignoring everything that I had said. Or the other show, I would be on Ted Lasso.
Oh man.
But I would be a soccer player that was like traded in, but like only the contract's about to expire, and so that way it frees up money. And I'd be like Jack Black on Community, where like everyone hates him, and then at the end they finally start to accept him, and then boom, gone.
So a brief stint.
Yeah,
you'd be a brief stint on
Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Well,
like an episode and a half, maybe.
When I thought of this, I mean, the first thing I thought of immediately was my love of wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking late 90s, mid to late 90s, the beginning of the Attitude Era kind of, but the NWO era in WCW. I not only did I imagine at the time being a wrestler on WCW, not only was I in great shape back then and was muscular, that I think I could have done it, you know, with a few roids. Just get a little bulkier. I had my entrance music all picked out, which was by a guy named John Forte, who was in kind of like the Fugees group. He was in their crew. Yeah, I had my own entrance music, and I played it when I would go like play basketball in my headphones. I'd play my own entrance music. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Nice.
And one night, I used to play on a softball team where we did that once. We had like a boom box, and I played that. We had walk-up music.
Nice.
Because we were lame.
I like it.
But yeah, I would have loved to have been on in another life, I could have been a pro wrestler.
You could be on, Stars? They have the hit show Heels, and it stars Stephen Amell as a wrestler.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a show.
Yeah, he's evidently a heel.
If I was going to be on a show now, I don't know. I like 1883. I said while I was watching the last show that I thought I could have lived that life. I could have been a cowboy. And when my wife stopped laughing, I got mad. I was like, what, you don't think so? I mean, but I'm a little big now. I'd be Cookie.
I was going to say, are you the cook? And then be like, I'm not stopping in this country, and then get killed off.
No, I have street smarts. Although then it would have been like, you know, trail smarts. All right, Jason Giesemann says, I need all your Doctor Strange 2 theories. What's your craziest and most likely to happen? Also, who do you think all the chairs for the Illuminati are for? So the Illuminati, if you don't know, in Marvel Comics is like this group of the most brilliant maybe characters in the Marvel Universe, the smartest guys, the guys with some kind of better working knowledge. Maybe like Doctor Strange is on the Illuminati, but he's not like intelligent smart. He's like otherworldly smart. So he has knowledge that a lot of them don't possess about the multiverse and things like that. Yeah. And so obviously Professor X, since we heard his voice.
Yeah.
I think Reed Richards is probably a great bet to be on the Illuminati. I think Baron Mordo, because we've seen him in the previews, and I think Baron Mordo with that long hair is an alternate universe Baron Mordo, and I think he's going to be the Sorcerer Supreme in his dimension, in his reality. I think there's a good chance that there's a Black Panther up there.
Oh.
But maybe Michael B. Jordan, maybe Killmonger as Black Panther.
Okay.
Like similar to what we saw in the What If show. Okay. And I think Captain Carter is a good bet. I think they're going to play off that What If. I think that the Doctor Strange movie is kind of making What If must-watch show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all those are very likely.
Normally I would think the Submariner, Namor, would be in it. Marvel's version of kind of Aquaman, the King of Atlantis, the Prince of Atlantis. But since he's rumored to play a major part in the next Black Panther movie, they might hold off on that. They might be like, we want him to kind of introduce him in this movie. We don't want to confuse people with an alternate reality Namor.
Yeah.
So I don't think you'll see him on the Illuminati, even though he was on the Illuminati in the comics.
What about one of the Eternals?
Oh, that could be possible. The big rumors in the last week were that the king of the Inhumans from the canceled TV show that never really made it on ABC, the guy who's going to play Black Bolt is going to reprise that role as one of the Illuminati.
Okay.
All right. I could see it. Craziest theories? Do you have any crazy theories about Doctor Strange? I mean, is it too easy to say Mephisto? Mephisto's going to show up. Everyone's Mephisto.
I have been saying that since WandaVision.
I'm kind of notorious for like every episode of WandaVision. I was like, that was totally Mephisto. That flamingo, that swan, whatever it was, that was Mephisto, baby.
That rabbit, Mephisto.
Mephisto, for the uninitiated, is sort of the Satan figure in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
He's not the exact same guy, but he's like the devil in the Marvel Universe. He's a demon who's causing trouble.
So, do you think that this ends the madness?
No, Mephisto's not going to be in it.
Okay, but not.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've thought long and hard about this.
Okay.
I've thought long and hard about this. Is there a stigma about putting the devil-like character in any of your Marvel properties with Christianity holding the status of what it is? I know like Disney mostly wants to be woke. They want to play to those crowds, but that means they play to any crowds. Do you think that they don't want to put anything offensive to anyone on the screen?
I think that you have to go there eventually.
Do you think Mephisto will show up in the MCU eventually?
Yes. Good versus evil. You have to have like that. Although I don't know if you have it right now. It just depends on how big of a baddie you need for the next phase. Because, I mean, Thanos was like, oh, half a life everywhere, gone. And your favorite Avengers.
Thanos was right.
But I mean, so I don't know if you go that extreme with this phase, or if you hold off for another one, but I think you end up there. I don't think that like everything will be resolved timeline wise in this movie. I also think Scarlet Witch is here to stay. Goodbye, Wanda.
Yeah. Well, certainly if they keep going down the Midnight Suns road. I mean, once you start introducing Ghost Rider, you got Blade coming. Once you start introducing some of these characters, Mephisto almost has to show up.
Oh, yeah.
I just wondered what you thought, what your take was on that.
I feel he could be in this movie. But he might be a veiled character in this movie, maybe.
Post-credits. Maybe post-credits.
Not ruling that one out either.
I'm still, I was, man, I'm telling you what, going into the finale of WandaVision, I was like 90% sure that Mephisto was going to be a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen. We were going to wander into the depths of, what's her name's dungeon? Agatha's dungeon, and we were going to see him, but we didn't. So,
so Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, both in it. I'm calling it now.
Now, the rumors in the last week, though, were not Hugh Jackman, but Daniel Radcliffe playing a version of Wolverine.
I could see both.
Now,
Hugh Jackman's back.
Hold on. I got a lot of guff back when we talked about this. I don't know what episode that was, but we talked about who could play the new Wolverine. And I got a lot of guff for suggesting Daniel Radcliffe.
As you should.
Why? Did you see the picture that was floating around? It looked like him. He looked like Logan.
I will say the picture of him as Weird Al. That's the Daniel Radcliffe.
He is an acting chameleon, obviously. Daniel Radcliffe, the actor of the next generation.
But yeah, so like I have him stereotyped. You'd have to CGI in some huge muscles.
Yeah, the only problem I can see with Daniel Radcliffe is voice.
That too.
Because Logan should have your voice, like
it should be rough and gravelly.
You should have your voice if you smoked 2 packs a day for the last 20 years. That's the kind of voice Logan should have.
Yeah, I think Hugh Jackman will have a brief shining moment. He'll actually be in the MCU, and then he's gone.
Okay.
Gone, right. Girl, gone.
Well, there you go. Those are our craziest theories. I don't really, how crazy could you, I could just say anything and people would probably be like, yeah, that could happen. This movie's going to be bonkers.
Maybe you see some future Guardians of the Galaxy, because some of the current ones are going to be gone as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Okay, here's my craziest theory. We have wondered how mutants were going to be introduced into the Marvel Universe. My craziest out there theory is that by the end of the Multiverse of Madness movie, we will have a definitive clues on how Marvel's planning to do that. How to introduce mutants into the MCU universe. I think we'll know, because it shouldn't be, because the movie's not going to be about that. But I think that this movie, they've been building up to this movie as kind of a linchpin for moving forward. And I just think it'll be in this movie that we'll know. We'll be able to, even if it's not succinct or specific, I think we'll know just by putting pieces together, like, oh, this is how they're going to bring mutants in.
I think that we'll see Blade.
Oh, yeah. Blade for sure.
I think Star Fox will be in it.
What about Black Knight?
I think Black Knight will have to make an appearance.
That'd be so awesome. I'm here for some more Black Knight. Give me some Jon Snow Black Knight.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
And like any future projects, I'm going to say they're all in it.
All right. Those are our answers. Make sure and eye our social media, usually late in the weekend. Sunday night. We'll put it up on our social media, maybe Monday morning, for our In the Lobby prompts on our Facebook page and Twitter. Go ahead and go follow us on Facebook if you haven't already. It's popculturefacebook.com/popculturepastor podcast.
That is too difficult.
Or just search Pop Culture Pastor and don't pick the one that doesn't look like our logo because there's another one.
How dare they?
Yeah, his is more heavy stressed on the pastor, not the pop culture.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's just we're different.
We are.
That's good. All right. It's time. We'll take a little break here and we'll go back and talk. When we get back, we'll talk about the main subject of our episode. And it's to set up to intro our big March Madness superhero movie tournament, comic book movie tournament. We've got them all seeded out and we're going to tell you how it's going to start right after this. All right, welcome back. We're not going to talk about this long. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. The whole point of this episode of the podcast in this part here was to intro something big we've decided to do, something multifaceted, something we're going to let you take part on as a listener. But you got to be in the right places, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do we're going to figure out what's the best movie based on a comic book of all time.
Dun, dun, dun.
I wish we had the CBS March Madness music, but that would probably get us copyright blasted.
That we would not be able to post this episode.
One shining moment in time. We can't get copyright blasted for that, right? Me singing it?
I hope not.
The ball is tipped.
Okay, we only have so many seconds.
I'm sorry, I get excited about tournaments.
Free emulation, and then after that, it goes downhill.
March Madness is one of my favorite times of year, and so we're doing a big Pop Culture Pastor comic book movie tournament. We're going to figure out what's the best comic book movies of all time. We put a lot of work into this.
Way more than I have ever put into any bracket in my life.
64 movies. We've got them all seeded out. Let's start with the Marvel side of the bracket. So we've got Marvel. It represents 32 movies here.
So 2 portions of the bracket.
So here we'll just go with it. And we'll talk about some of the matchups as we go. In one of the brackets, the number 1 seed, Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's a good one.
They'll be going up against X-Men First Class, the 16 seed. And you guys get to decide. You guys are the deciders.
I feel that's an accurate ranking for X-Men. So
yeah. Number 2 seed in that bracket, Spider-Man No Way Home. Recent bias there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go up against 15 seed Blade.
Oh, original
Blade. Yeah, Wesley Snipes. That's a beloved movie.
I'm shocked by the cult following it does have.
So, I mean, 2 seeds don't get upset often.
But it does
But I
happen.
can see it being closer than you think because Blade, and listen, this tells you the strength of superhero movies, frankly.
Yeah.
That Blade's a 15 seed. Because there's not going to be any movies above it that you could have moved it out of the way for, I don't think. The 3 seed starts off its first round with Avengers Infinity War is the 3 seed, and it'll go up against Captain America First Avenger. So, yeah, a little Avengers Captain America.
Potential upset.
I don't know. First Avenger's not well regarded among the Captain America movies. It's probably it's probably the weakest.
But it's also an origin movie. And
yeah, 4 seed Black Panther will start off their run against Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at 13 seed.
I feel good about Black Panther.
5 seed Spider-Man 2. That's the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire. Spider-Man 2 is the 5 seed. It'll go up against the number 12 seed Black Widow.
Yeah. That's a tougher matchup than I would have originally.
Yeah, there's going to be young people who might vote for Black Widow.
Yeah,
over that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Although, man, it's hard to really put a handle on people who were too young. How amazingly good Spider-Man 2 was when it came out.
It was definitely better than 1.
It was the ultimate comic book movie at the time.
Yeah.
When it came out, it was like, okay, this is the best comic book movie ever. Number 6 seed, Avengers Age of Ultron will go up against Spider-Man Far From Home.
Upset alert.
Oh, really? Really? Do you think do you think we seeded Age of Ultron too high?
No, not if you go by like March Madness seeding, where like once you get past 5-12 matchups, it's a toss up. And so I
think Avengers Age of Ultron gets better with time.
Yes.
I actually like it better than the first one.
Okay. I'm good with that.
This is where it starts getting really thick here. 7 and 10 matchup. Mm-hmm. Number 7, the Avengers will go up against Iron Man.
Ooh.
The one that started it off for the MCU against the first big event movie of the MCU. And then the 8-9 matchup is Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man with Paul Rudd against the 9 seed X2 X-Men United. X-Men 2 was another one of those movies at the time regarded as better than X-Men 1.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good.
I might have an X-Men bias.
Ant-Man, we might have underseeded Ant-Man. That's a really good movie at the 8th seed. But again, this is so strong. Okay, so the other half of the Marvel bracket as we move over. Do we want to talk about anything? Are you fine with all the seeding in that first bracket?
Like you said, Ant-Man might be underseeded, but I don't know of any of the movies above it that I'd put below it. So it's just a tough bracket to be in.
Yeah, they don't get any easier, too. So your top 3 seeds of that bracket, Captain America Winter Soldier, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Avengers Infinity War. I mean, those are 3 of the best movies in the MCU.
And Black Panther's number 4?
Black Panther number 4, yeah.
That's a beloved film. So,
and Black Panther, I think a lot of people would have Black Panther seated higher. This is just what we came out with.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough bracket. That could be anybody's ball game to make the final 4 from there. Let's move to the other side of the Marvel bracket here. The 1/16 Avengers Endgame, the 1 seed, will start its run off against 16 seed Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
You run out of spots. Like to have Doctor Strange at the 16. Doctor Strange is one of those movies that I've rewatched it with my kids, and it's one of the weaker movies in the Marvel set, I think. It's weird now that he's the linchpin.
I really loved Doctor Strange.
I liked it too.
Oh, I gotta see what else is in this bracket.
I didn't. I mean, it's not like I didn't like X-Men First Class, which was a 16 seed on the other side.
Well, I didn't. So,
well, it was only one of those younger X-Men movies that I thought was any good, and it was the first one.
Yeah. Okay.
The 2 seed Thor Ragnarok.
Okay. Oh, this bracket's tough.
Yeah. Against 15 seed The Eternals. Listen, so I think what goes into the seeding here is The Eternals is a prettier movie than Doctor Strange. It's cinematography all around, movie quality. I mean, some of the shots in Eternals are amazing. It's the spectacle.
Although I will say, Doctor Strange, you have like Inception graphics where like the universe is folding in on itself.
Well, again, it's tough. It's tough. Number 3 seed, Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
Against the 14 seed Ant-Man and the Wasp. The sequel to Ant-Man makes the tournament.
Yeah.
The number 4 seed Logan will go up against 13 seed Iron Man 3. Logan is a really good movie.
Okay.
Really good movie.
Like, I don't know who's going to make it out of this side of the bracket.
This bracket's rough. This bracket is going to leave some bodies in more ways than one. The number 5 seed Guardians of the Galaxy.
Beloved.
Yeah. Goes up against number 12 seed Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay, so that has a cult following as well.
And I know a lot of people, I think it gets lower seated here because it's an animation. It's a cartoon.
It is.
But I know a lot of people that say it's the best Spider-Man movie. I don't say that, but I can see why people would enjoy it.
I'm going to put that as my second favorite Spider-Man movie.
Number 6, Deadpool.
Okay, I was going to see if Deadpool made it.
Number 6 seed goes up against number 11, Spider-Man, the Raimi Spider-Man, the original. And yeah, that's a pretty good matchup. Number 7, Spider-Man Homecoming against the number 10 seed, Captain Marvel.
Okay.
That's tough. That's tough for me. I knew Captain Marvel would be lower seeded, but I'm just going to let you in a little secret. I have an affinity for that movie. I liked Captain Marvel. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
But I went into it with an understanding that of the comic book character, and that so a lot of the criticism for Captain Marvel was that Brie Larson's acting wasn't good. But I don't think that's a full understanding of what's going on there. I think she's supposed to be kind of wooden as a Kree.
Yeah.
They have drained her past out of her, and she has no emotion. I think she gets more character as the movie goes on. And I think that's by design. Now, was that a good design? Maybe, maybe not.
We'll find out.
No, and the 8-9 matchup, Thor, the original Thor at the 8 seed versus Shang-Chi at the 9 seed.
Okay. So
Maybe some recency bias there, but don't sleep on the original Thor. That was a great movie. Kenneth Branagh directed, and that was like, at the time, that was pretty groundbreaking.
Who was the 11 seed?
The 11 seed was the Raimi Spider-Man, original Spider-Man.
So if I was to change any of it up, I might flip-flop Doctor Strange and the Raimi Spider-Man.
Okay.
But I have a Spider-Man bias.
I have no beef with that. These are all so close.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, these are all so close, and I have once you get out of the top 10 Marvel movies, I think anything could happen.
Yeah.
Like, listen, these are your top 8 seeds. Captain America Winter Soldier, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man No Way Home, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, and Logan. Those are like the best Marvel movies. I mean, without a doubt.
Yeah.
They're really good. And
okay, so the Marvel bracket is stacked.
Yeah.
Whoever makes it to the Final Four, those 2 Marvel spots, they will be top notch.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting. We didn't want to put the reason we wanted to isolate Marvel and isolate the DC. DC, the other side of the bracket is all DC and independent comics, other comic companies.
Yeah.
The reason we wanted to do that is because we didn't want to end up with like a Final Four of all Marvel.
Although my favorite superhero movie of all time, not a Marvel movie.
Yeah, well, and there's like
so there's a case.
You can't sleep on some of these movies on the other side because they're strong movies. And there's an argument to be made that maybe the front runner for all of this is not a Marvel movie. The greatest comic book movies of all time. There's an argument to be made here that one in particular jumps off the page.
It does.
And let's just start off with it. As we get into the DC and other comic book company bracket, the 1 seed, The Dark Knight. Christian Bale, Heath Ledger in what was a transformative performance at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Heath Ledger was kind of like a heartthrob, and then he turned into like serious actor with like Brokeback Mountain, like got Academy Award credit and that kind of stuff. And then he makes this movie, and you're just blown away.
And the thing is, he overshadows a great performance by Aaron Eckhart.
That's right. Yeah. Two-Face debuts in this movie along with the Joker, and he's amazing. Aaron Eckhart, wonderful in this movie.
Like, I was really disappointed when he was not in The Dark Knight Rises because he had done such a good job. And you have the only villain that is in all 3 of the Dark Knight movies, Scarecrow, played by Cillian Murphy. And
like, how crazy!
like, this cast is like
cast
loaded.
is legit. Cillian Murphy is like a bit player.
Yeah,
and he's wonderful. Like, I love him in Peaky Blinders. Just a great show. But yeah, he's wonderful. And The Dark Knight. I just recently watched Batman Begins with my kids, and so I'm introducing them to these movies. So we're gonna watch The Dark Knight next, and I fully expect their minds to be blown, or I'm gonna leave the house in a huff.
The magic trick scene is still like literally. I had a visceral reaction in the theater, like, "Oh my goodness!"
Underplayed in this movie, under-recognized, I should say, is whoever does the music. Like like there's this low tone in the background of every Joker scene that was wonderful at kind of ratcheting up this like manic tension in all those scenes. And I think whoever did the music for the movie should be recognized too as part of that performance because it played into it. That movie, the 1 seed, The Dark Knight, will go up against the 16 seed, Joss Whedon's Justice League. This is going to be the route of all routes.
And I'm here for it.
If anyone votes for Joss Whedon's Justice League, I will kick you out of the group. I will kick you out of the group. It's not funny. Don't do it. Jason Giesemann, I'm looking at you. I know you're going to do it. Don't do it. Nobody should vote for Joss Whedon's Justice League. The 2 seed in this bracket, Watchmen.
Oh my goodness. Visual masterpiece when it came out.
Just underappreciated opinion. Zack Snyder's best movie, Watchmen.
I'll agree.
A lot of people would say 300.
They're wrong.
Watchmen's great.
And like the music for it, the cast that's in it, again, phenomenal.
Yeah,
So,
it's a really good movie. The stylistic choices Zack Snyder makes, while I've been annoyed with him post 300 most of the time, I think are wonderful in Watchmen. He hits all the right notes in the way it's put on the screen, the way it's given to the audience. It's just wonderful to watch. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
And then that's why you give him the reins to the DCEU, and then
yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not completely sold because
he didn't
get to finish his movie, so I can't we talked about this. I don't want to judge him for it, but
then he's made some very bold choices since Watchmen. So
the Zack Snyder cut was definitely better than Joss's, but it's not. I still think it was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Number 2, Watchmen will be going up against 15 seed Sin City. Sin City, a Dark Horse comic movie that at the time, the technology they used there was really kind of cutting edge.
It was.
It looked different, which was cool. It was reminiscent of the comic book. I remember reading the comic book when I was younger. It was good. It's a good movie, but probably in the right seating and probably going to get beat. The number 3 seed in this bracket, The Joker.
Ooh.
Joaquin Phoenix will go up against 14 seed Wonder Woman 1984.
That's not even comparable.
Nope.
So.
Yeah, you see these brackets aren't as close. Marvel has made more quality stuff, that's for sure.
Although The Joker, that movie was great.
Yeah, it was good. Number 4, Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman, Tim Burton's Batman.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, against 13 seed Aquaman.
That one might be closer.
Yeah, recency bias. I could see
recency
giving him a
bias.
run, but as much as I don't like a lot of Tim Burton's choices, and that what he did to one of a beloved comic book character, I will admit that even though I'm not preferential to Tim Burton's style, I know a lot of people are, and that movie holds a beloved place in their heart.
Oh, yeah. I know several people that still say that's their favorite Batman movie.
And that's okay.
And
I just have a different opinion.
You're wrong. But it should be in your top 3 or 4. So
the 5 seed, The Crow.
yeah.
Starring Lee. What's his name?
Jason Lee.
Jason Lee. Yeah, that was his name. The Crow. And against the 12 seed Kingsman, The Secret Service, the first Kingsman movie that started off that series. The Crow, is you young kids, you probably won't understand what we're talking about, but The Crow was a big deal when it came out. Bruce Lee's son is actually the guy in this movie.
It's Brandon Lee.
It's Brandon Lee, not Jason Lee. Brandon Lee. Brandon Lee actually dies during the filming of this movie in a gun accident, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. Yeah.
And so we're hitting a lot of the same kind of headlines now with the Rust incident. Number 6 seed, The Mask, starring Jim Carrey at his height when he's blowing up against the 11 seed Batman Returns. So Tim Burton's sequel to Batman will go up against The Mask. That one could go either way. I think a lot of people like Batman Returns, but The Mask made $300 and some million. Huge movie at the time. And The Mask was kind of a beloved comic book, Dark Horse Comics.
I was going to say, if you're a millennial, especially an older one.
Maybe an older millennial, young Gen X.
You are going to love Jim Carrey's performance in The Mask.
Yeah, The Mask was a comic book that existed well before that movie came out, too.
I have the first edition.
The actual first edition?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Number 7, Flash Gordon. Maybe the oldest movie on this list. Flash Gordon, number 7 against number 10, Superman, the original Superman. So we have like a battle of classics.
Oh, yeah.
In a first round matchup.
Which one of my friends, Scotty, shout out, he actually knows the guy that played Flash Gordon in that movie.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because he
former NFL football player.
Yeah, he was at a Comic-Con. Then, like, Scotty got to help him.
Speaking of Comic-Con, Planet Comic-Con announced one of their big guests that's going to be at Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City that we're going to. None other than Bayside High's Zach Morris.
I am wearing my Bayside football jersey.
Yeah. Cody's going to cosplay. He's going to the Comic-Con cosplaying as AC Slater. It's happening.
Yes.
The 8 seed 300.
Oh, yeah.
Versus number 9, Man of Steel. Man of Steel. You know what's interesting is the 8-9 plays the 1 seed, probably. It sets up a possible second round matchup of the Dark Knight versus the Man of Steel. The real battle. Not Zack Snyder's lame version.
Oh.
Everybody wanted to see Christian Bale's Batman interact with Henry Cavill's Superman.
We have Zack Snyder on Zack Snyder violence in the 8-9 matchup.
Yep, that's right. 2 Zack Snyder movies dueling it out. That's the first DC independent comic bracket. Dark Knight, Watchmen, Joker, the original Batman, top 4 there.
It's good top 4.
Yeah, it's not quite as stiff as the Marvel competition, but still, those are 4 great movies there. And I think the 4 in the next one are also great. So let's just move on to that bracket. This is the last bracket now.
Okay.
The second DC independent comic bracket. If you don't know, we're just taking 20, 30 minutes here to intro our big comic book movie tournament of tournaments. And we're going to figure out what the best comic book movie of all time is, and you're going to help us. We're going to post polls for every matchup on social media.
Because, I have already figured out what my favorite is, but I could be wrong.
We're going to get big help from the Assemblies of God Ministers Nerd Layer group on Facebook. They've agreed to allow me to post the polls in there. So they're going to help out and be a big part of this.
Nice.
And if you don't trust minister nerds, who can you trust?
I don't know.
There isn't anybody.
Yeah.
So there you go. The number 1 seed on this side of the DC independent bracket goes to an independent comic book movie, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, I love this movie so much.
It is wildly, wildly inventive.
Oh my goodness, it's so fun.
I don't know that I've ever seen another movie like it. Maybe Free Guy is kind of reminiscent.
Yeah.
In a different way. It's not exactly the same, but where you're trying to combine these 2 worlds.
Yeah. Oh, it is such a fun movie.
It is.
And it hits on so many different genres and stuff. And Captain America's in it as a jerk face. And I'm here for Chris Evans.
I need to watch it again. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Oh my, before you vote, rewatch this movie.
Yeah, Cody will cry if Scott Pilgrim gets upset in the first round. It won't happen in the first round because the 16 seed is Batman versus Superman, and Batman versus Superman is hot garbage, in my opinion.
Well, it is.
Don't let that influence your vote or anything, but it's hot garbage.
But it's well-known hot garbage. Where
No. Scott Pilgrim's a much superior movie.
oh, it is. Edgar Wright did a phenomenal job. Beck, the guy that sings "Loser," he did.
You just lost everyone.
I did. There's a target audience that I'm reaching.
Younger than 35.
So the Grammy Awards, where Kanye gets up because Beyonce doesn't win, Beck's the guy that won the Grammy, and Kanye nearly goes up on stage and then backtracks. So there you go, younger people. But he's the one that writes the music for the band that Scott Pilgrim's in.
Wow, didn't know that.
So and he did it super quick, and it makes the movie that much better. So
yeah, I need to rewatch it. It's been
soundtrack's
too long.
phenomenal.
The 2 seed in that bracket, V for Vendetta.
Ooh, I forgot about that comic book movie.
Great comic book, great movie. It'll go up against the 15 seed Spawn, an Image comic.
Yeah.
From the original run of Image Comics, Todd McFarlane written and illustrated comic, Spawn, super popular in the early 90s.
Yes. And
the movie's never quite the video entertainment TV, there was also like an HBO series. It never quite lived up to the hype of the comic, but
my wife actually is a big Spawn fan.
Really?
So
I think Michael Jai White stars in this movie.
I believe so. And I think he's also in The Dark Knight. He's one of the guys that's sitting around the table.
He's one of the gangsters, right? You're absolutely right.
During the pencil scenes.
Small comic book movie world. Number 3 seed, Superman 2. Superman 2 starring Christopher Reeve, widely regarded as the best offering of the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. A lot of people say it's the best comic book movie of all time. It earns a 3 seed in our bracket. It'll go up against number 14, Superman Returns.
Oh.
So you get maybe the best of the Christopher Reeve run, and then a movie that was honoring the Christopher Reeve movies.
Oh, heartbreaking.
It is. Because I really like Superman Returns. It's one of those movies that I feel is under-recognized.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It's under-recognized for a lot of troubling reasons. Bryan Singer, who's the director, is not Hollywood's favorite guy. And either is Kevin Spacey, who's in the movie. But it's really good. I think it's a good movie.
Brandon, who plays Soups.
Brandon Routh, yeah.
He's also in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big name superhero people that's in Scott Pilgrim.
There's a lot of cross-pollination going on in the comic book movies.
Yes, you are noticing.
Chris Evans is like the king of it.
He is. He's everywhere.
Number 4, Batman Begins.
Ooh, that's a
start of the Nolan trilogy of Batman movies. Will go up against number 13, Kick Ass. I don't want to say the movie because I don't want to say the name of it because it's a bad word. Does that make me? People are going to think I'm prudish now.
You have Liam Neeson in Batman Begins as Ra's al Ghul.
Mm-hmm.
And
spoiler.
That is
not. They don't reveal that till the end of the movie, but thanks.
If you didn't watch it in the past 15 years, that's on you.
My children just watched it for the first time. Thank you for not spoiling The Dark Knight.
Not yet, anyway. And then in the other movie, if I'm not mistaken,
the other movie, the main character is played by the guy that goes on to play Quicksilver in the MCU.
Yes, and then you have a one shining star above all stars.
Uh-oh. Why am I not remembering this? You have a weird look on your face.
Nicky Cage.
Nick Cage. That's right. He's the dad.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. Yeah, you're right.
McLovin's in it.
Listen, I'm not going to say the name of this movie, but I remember watching it and thinking that was a pretty good movie. That's a good movie. It's irreverent and earns the R rating.
Chloe Grace Moretz is in it. I
think it's Moretz.
I'm going to go Moretz.
Number 5 seed Wonder Woman against number 12 seed Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Upset alert.
Zack Snyder cut. I know the Zack Snyder. Listen, I know the Zack Snyder cut has a kind of a cultish big following right now.
It does. Although
But it has to be lower seated because it didn't go to the movie theaters. It didn't make money.
Yeah, and I will say Wonder Woman, the first one, I really did enjoy a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie.
The guy that plays Chief, he did a great job.
At the time when Wonder Woman came out, and it may still be, it was regarded as like the best female-led comic book movie that had ever been. Maybe the only one that was successful.
Yeah.
I mean, there weren't many before that, unless we're thinking of Supergirl in the 80s with starring Helen Slater. My name recognition's coming back, by the way.
Josie.
Get off me, COVID.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Did not make the tournament. Sorry. They're in the NIT. Although I do have a lot of love for Rachel Lee Cook. She was a younger Dave crush. I did like Rachel Lee Cook.
By the way, Jason Lee is My Name is Earl. Actor.
Yeah, Jason Lee was in Mallrats, a movie about a guy that loves comic books.
Yes. So
Jason Lee would be, his character in that movie, Mallrats, would be all about this tournament.
Sorry, Brandon Lee's family, for the earlier confusion.
I mean, if you're going to be mistaken for someone, it's not terrible to be mistaken for Jason Lee. He seems all right.
Okay.
My Name is Earl, man. Number 6, Men in Black, starring Will Smith. They'll go up against the 11 seed Mystery Men. A lot of people in Mystery Men. Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
In that movie. Mystery Men was kind of a groundbreaking movie at the time. It was a different kind of comic book movie. A lot of comedians, a lot of funny people in that movie. But Men in Black was huge when that movie came out. Huge. They took a comic book too. Men in Black was kind of a serious comic book, and they turned it into a comedy, which is all right with me because I like the movie better than the comic book.
I forgot Greg Kinnear was in Mystery Men.
Oh, yeah. Greg Kinnear.
William H. Macy.
Yeah, tons of people in that movie. Paul Rubens. Pee Wee Herman, himself. Was in that
Jeffrey
movie.
Rush. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good people in that movie.
Kel Mitchell.
Kel. People forget about Kel.
Keenan and Kel. He's a youth pastor now.
No one would have suspected that Keenan would be the one with the more success back in the Good Burger days, but here we are.
We should see if we could get Kel on the show. Because he is a minister.
That'd be amazing. Can we get Kel Mitchell? Did you just put an idea in my head?
I did.
We got to hit up Kel Mitchell.
Especially if somehow Mystery Men pulls up the upset.
Okay. I'm going to hit him up on Twitter. And he's going to block me. Stalker. Number 7, Shazam. We'll go up against the number 10 movie, The Suicide Squad.
Which Suicide Squad?
That's the second one. The Suicide Squad is the second one.
Okay.
Superior movie.
It is.
Than the first one.
So that's a tough matchup.
It is. 7-10.
Because I would honestly say Shazam probably should be higher than what it is. Because out of like the current DC movies, it might be my favorite one, to be honest.
The only DCEU movies higher than that, higher than Shazam on this list are Wonder Woman, and that's it.
I would put Shazam above Wonder Woman, but that's my preference. I could be wrong. So,
okay.
Yeah.
The Suicide Squad be a tough matchup.
It will be.
8-9 matchup. The 8 seed Hellboy 2. Regarded as the better movie than Hellboy 1, starring Ron Perlman.
Jax Teller's stepdad.
Yeah, of
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy fame. And it'll go up against number 9, The Dark Knight Rises, the third in the series of the Nolan movies.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
I know you like Dark Knight Rises.
Literally, there is one scene in that movie that would go immediately make it like a top 3 in the bracket. And that is Bane breaking the Batman over his knee.
That's straight from the comics.
It is.
Yeah.
And like, it was the moment I was waiting for the whole movie. And then once it happened, I'm like, This is kismet.
I think that movie is judged unfairly because everybody was just really sad about Heath Ledger dying and that we weren't going to get any more Joker. And I think that kind of was a shadow cast over that movie. And so we don't really give enough respect to how good Tom Hardy's Bane was in that movie.
Yes.
Who was really, really, really good. I mean, let's put it this way. If Heath Ledger's the best comic book movie villain of all time, which I think you could say, I'm saying Tom Hardy's Bane is top 5. I mean, he's that good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
I would also say that just because up till recently, I don't think Marvel's villains have been particularly great.
Marvel does a good job of giving them ambiguity. Like, they're not like just evil for evil's sake. Yeah, I discussed this. I posted something because somebody was talking about how they accused Marvel of being capitalists. Actors, because they basically say all of the villains in the Marvel movies, or a lot of them, they actually have holy causes.
Somewhat, yeah.
And then they have a random act of anger, and then to make the audience believe that they're the villain. And I posted something about that on Pop Culture Pasture. I said, actually, that's not a capitalist plot. That's humanity. That's a great look at humanity because it's his anger. It's anger that drives us to villainy, right? Yeah. Anger is not a sin according to the Bible. Anger points us towards holy causes. It points us to what's right. It points us in the direction of like, that's wrong. I want to make it right. But Paul in the Bible says you got to get rid of anger before the end of the day. And the reason is because it corrupts. The longer you hold on to the anger, you get separated from the holiness of the cause. It's exactly the reason why a guy like Dr. Martin Luther King is so revered, because he was able to go towards that holy cause that started with anger, probably, of being treated unfairly and wanting equality for all people. But then he had to let go of that anger and say, hey, we're not going to do it this way. And that's why he's so revered. It's exactly the reason.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, Tom Hardy, top 5 easy for me.
I got off on a tangent there.
And like his line when he is breaking the Batman, he's like, I wondered what would break first, your will or your body.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good Bane.
And then boom, he breaks him.
He might have some of the best ad-libs ever. Like when they're walking into the football stadium and the kids singing the national anthem, like, that's a beautiful, beautiful voice. Yeah, like it's just so, there's some really good Bane lines in there.
Oh yeah. It gets overshadowed by Heath Ledger's death and what could have been.
Could you imagine if both of them were in that movie? Oh my goodness.
And so it's looked at through a more heartbreaking lens. And so I think it does not get its due diligence, but phenomenal movie. Love it.
It's good stuff. Top 4 in that bracket: Scott Pilgrim, V for Vendetta, Superman 2, and Batman Begins. The tournament is set. The comic book tournament of tournaments. The comic book movie tournament of tournaments.
That bracket might not have a top 4 seed make it.
There you go. That would be amazing. But it's all up to you.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. We're going to post each matchup in polls. We're going to do one round each week. So this first week's going to be crazy. Starting Friday, when this pod comes out, we're going to put the first set. So there's 32 matches. We want to get it done. We want them all out on social media probably by Monday, the end of Monday.
Yeah.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 4 days. We're going to post 8 matchups per day. One bracket per day.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what's going to happen. And it's all up to you. You go to our social media, you find the polls, you vote on them, you get one vote, and that's that. And you decide. And then we come back and we talk about it. Now here's the extra part. On future episodes, it's not going to be the main topic. It's just going to be a segment.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the matchups that happened, and then we'll move on to the main segment or the lobby or wherever we
any upsets, any heartbreaking movies that have gone the way of the dodo bird.
And so this is going to go on for like, maybe 5-6 pods.
Yeah.
So get ready for that.
I'm excited.
We need you. We need your participation. This is going to be fun. Thank you so much for listening. I mean, you guys, we're already over 1,200 downloads. This is amazing. I couldn't have even imagined having this many people listening. I know it's not Joe Rogan. Someone was like, "Are you guys making money?" I was like, "No."
Yes, all the monies.
We're not that big. No, it's not, but even what we have, we're just so humbled and pleasantly surprised with. It's been wonderful. So we hope you're enjoying the podcasts because we make them for you, and we make them for nerds like us, geeks like us. We love pop culture. We love comic books. We love movies and television and music and all of it. And we do it for you. So thank you so much. We will see you next time on Pop Culture Pastor. Go follow our Facebook. Go follow Twitter. You're going to need to be on there to vote in these polls.